What is the most horrifyingly wrong or incorrect advice you've ever heard? One of my stepdaughters. I never carry any ID because that way when the police pull you over then can't tell if you have warrants or not. Yeah, that'll work. Had a health science teacher, in college mind you, tell the entire class that they should all just stop taking their prescription meds because that is what is killing you. That professor wasn't stupid. She just hated their students. Your pen stopped working? Take the ink tube out and suck on the open end of it, that'll make it work again. You can guess what happened. Reading Cosmopolitan to look at their advice for women. The whole thing was pretty ridiculous, but the things that stand out most to me right now is, on the first date, make it as hard and awkward for the guy to keep the conversation going as possible. To make him more attracted to you, start hitting on other men in front of him, and you can tell he's cheating on you if he has male friends who don't hang out with you. I'm pretty sure magazines like this intentionally give bad dating advice in order to keep their readers single and thus buying Cosmo for dating advice. I know this one woman that has serious genetic abnormalities, and if she were to get pregnant she needs to be monitored by specialists prior to conception and labeled high risk, as one specific health problem could cause the fetus she carries to develop brain damage or life-threatening congenital problems. Her preacher told her it was wrong to use birth control, or get ultrasounds, or give birth in a hospital, or vaccinate her children, so she is not getting any healthcare whatsoever besides homeopathy and prayer at church. She is encouraging others with the same condition to live the same lifestyle, because she has had one borderline healthy child, and one dead one. My dad worked as a car salesman for 1 year back in the late 90s. I graduated college in '99 and got my first real job that fall. I had been driving my grandfather's '82 Chevy Celebrity, reeked of cigar smoke, and started commuting from rural Maryland to Beltway, Virginia about an hour. Got in an accident involving a deer carcass, bent the frame. Dad recommends getting a new car. I only had 1 or 2 paychecks under my belt, and instead of advising me to look for something used or just doing what I could to keep the Celebrity going, he said I should go to his old dealership, talk to his friend and get a brand new 2000 VW Jetta. He said since I had just graduated college, the best plan would be to sign a student lease. That is, a lease with a limit of 15k miles a year despite my 100-mile-a-day commute. I did exactly what he recommended. Totally my fault for not doing math. I was a dumb kid too excited by the thought of getting my first brand new car per parental recommendation. I eagerly put a whopping $1,000 down. Cut to 4 years later, the balloon hits and I'm over double the allotted miles. Following my dad's advice, I wound up paying about $30k for a $16k vehicle. Ouch, yeah, that's some terrible advice. My son's father was a horrible alcoholic. He would disappear for days at a time. I can't tell you how many times I was told to stick it out just because we had a child together. First, I thought you were your son's father. Then I realized that mothers have sons as well. I feel stupid now. My 8th grade teacher told us when we got to college to not go to class because the professors like and respect you more if you skip class to figure out the material on your own. Glad I didn't listen to that advice. In high school, our teachers constantly said that college professors don't care if you miss class. Out of 35 professors I have had, only 3 didn't take attendance. The rest had policies of if you miss X amount of classes, you automatically fail. The day I realized I need to stop taking career advice from my dad was when he said the following. When I was about 17. Everyone goes into computers now. Too many people. All the people your brother's age went into computers at university, so there's no point in you doing it. You need to do something else if you want to find a job. I now live with a 29-year-old app developer who earns £45k. It was terrible advice from a man who was too old to really understand that computers weren't just a fad. Friend of the family, his wife of 20 plus years dies from cancer. Now ex-sister-in-law practically berates him at the dinner table, telling him that now is not the time for being selfish and grieving the way he wanted, which was moving in with family to be supported until he got disability housing because he's blind. Nobody had a problem with this BTW. I never wanted to smash someone's face into the dinner table so badly. What a C. When my dad was younger, his older sister had food poisoning, and from what I remember, it was pretty sudden and violent. They called the doctor and I guess buying ipecac would have taken too long or something, but he told my grandma to just keep making her eat raw eggs until she puked up what was making her feel ill. Also, my other grandma was told, even though she was not a smoker, to pick up smoking when she was pregnant with her second child. My mom, because her first one was a big baby and the smoking would make the next one attractively small, svelte, if you will. My grandmother was told to pick up smoking when she was pregnant to relax her and therefore cause less stress to the fetus. I guess this was pretty common advice back in the day. Had a guy in welding class try to tell me it would be just fine if we connected the oxygen tank to the line that carried argon for TIG welding. A gas is a gas, this'll work just as good. I personally shudder to think about what might have happened if someone struck a welding arc in the presence of pure, extremely reactive oxygen. Heck, the whole point of using argon is to shield your weld from oxygen contamination. Also, oxygen tanks typically have reverse threads to keep dumbasses like this guy from connecting them to the wrong gas line. Hey Tuscaloosa, look at this. Some idiot at the factory must have gotten this thread backwards. Don't worry though, I just hit it with a hammer enough times and I think it's pretty snug on there. I'm gonna go on my smoke break. See you. The owner of an outdoor summer camp I used to go to did a big lecture about sun protection at the beginning of each week, and always carefully explained that people with darker skin did not need to wear any. They need to wear some, but not as much as the pasty kids. In February 2011 I was denied a UK PSW visa after I completed my Master of Sciences. The problem was on my end, so I have no one to blame. Essentially I screwed up part of the maintenance section of the application. It wasn't that I didn't meet the qualifications, it was just that I filled out the section wrong. I was given a week's time to either leave the country or to appeal the decision. In that time I spoke to a few immigration solicitors on the best course of action. The first solicitor I spoke with told me that I would be stupid not to appeal, because that would extend my leave in the UK for as long as the appeal takes. He also said I was stupid to not hire a solicitor in the first place because I wouldn't be in this mess if I did. Then he told me that I was guaranteed to lose my appeal, but I should hire him anyway because at least he knows what he's doing. This would cost me £140 for the appeal fee and £1,500 for the hiring of this solicitor. No thank you. Another solicitor I spoke with told me to go ahead with the appeal but to also submit a fresh application. His logic was this: by submitting an appeal my leave to remain in the UK would be extended until the appeal takes place. And because I did meet the qualifications, a new application would be accepted if I filled it incorrectly this time around. This sounded like solid advice, so I researched the possibility of doing this. According to the UKBA you are not allowed to this, and your appeal and new application gets thrown out of course after they process the £561 visa fee and the £140 appeal fee. I ended up submitting the appeal, but with advice like this, I could not in my right mind even consider hiring a solicitor. I ended up representing myself in immigration court and I won my appeal. TLDR. My UK visa was denied. I ignored the advice of immigration solicitors and won my appeal. Please PM me these solicitors' names so I would avoid them. Thanks in advance. Condoms don't protect against HIV. Heard this from a generally intelligent, albeit very Christian young lady doing outreach work with inner city teens. I had to sit her down for a talk. The last thing those kids need is one more person reinforcing the idea that since condoms don't always work, there's no point in using them. When I was in high school, we only had one sex ed session in grade 9. The instructor told us you needed to put on 8 condoms at the same time to prevent the transmission of HIV. Any less and the virus could still get through. Everything will work itself out. No it freaking doesn't. I fix everything and then they say see. It all worked out. So sick of hearing that. The director of a charity bicycling organization to new riders: don't worry about picking up biking gloves, you don't need them. In addition to protecting your hands in case of a fall, which is like 1% of their function, cycling gloves protect 2 nerves that run through your palms. Leaning on handlebars for long periods of time dulls these nerves, and that makes your hand numb and difficult to move. Particularly, it makes it hard to form a fist, which is how you fricking brake on a bicycle and prevent huge accidents, goddammit. Alternatively, have a bike that fits well enough that you're not doing a handstand the whole time you're riding. I know a guy who thought if he drank enough Mountain Dew, it sterilized his little swimmers so he could go in bareback. My uncle was also in the Navy. Whenever he and his shipmates would make port, they would briefly walk in front of the radar to sterilize themselves for several days. From my dad, the truck driver. Why aren't you going to college for engineering? You'll never have a pension. Just go get you a good union job. Opposites attract. What is true for magnets is not true for human beings. Also, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I think that is one of the worst pieces of advice that is commonly given to children throughout the lower levels of grade school. How can you tell a child this and then explain to him why using a racial slur is wrong or why bullying is wrong? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will give me mental illnesses and led to my suicide. Go scatter your loved one's ashes wherever. I'm now a funeral director and there's a huge list of places where it is illegal to scatter them. Most state parks, for example, families can get fined large amounts. Every time I hear a parent tell me they won't vaccinate their kid because it'll make them autistic, I want to strangle them. I don't want to catch some medieval plaque just because they're stupid enough to believe everything they hear or read. Do some research. People, vaccines may cause some complications in very few people, but the benefits they provide, specifically in preventing global pandemics, far outweigh the risks. After having to cancel a job interview because of a rather severe family emergency, my father-in-law told me next time to just take my 3 children with me to the interview. This would be bad enough without the added fact that my middle child is autistic and needs constant supervision. Never change yourself for your boyfriend, girlfriend. If you are a crappy person and are hurting you so because of your crappy qualities, then it's always better to change. Also, sometimes small sacrifices are okay to be made if it means maintaining a happy relationship. I feel like part of the reason there are so many divorces is because everyone is being told not to change. It's a personal belief of mine that a healthy relationship helps both people develop, change, into better people. Not too bad or anything, but there is a bus route that recently got combined into another route. 510 no longer comes around. It's only the 509 now. This lady gets on a bus and asks if the 509 goes the same route as the 510. The bus driver says sort of and leaves it at that. The lady asks again, where does this bus go? The driver asks, where do you want to go? Lady says, I don't know, I just know it's on the 510 line. Bus driver looks at her blankly. Lady then says, never mind, I'll just wait for the 510. Bus driver then says, okay, you do that. I felt bad for the lady because she left before I could speak up. Stupid bus driver made her wait in the rain for a bus that would never come. The lady is a bit lost and she should know where she's trying to go, but the bus driver was the worst. Every rose has its thorn. Actually, there are several varieties of thornless roses, just as there are plenty of cowboys who don't even sing. Every night does have its dawn, though. So far, anyway. Many years ago when I lived in Cali and was getting a divorce during a time this state had decided to add mandatory counseling because of the high divorce rates. So I am waiting, and I can hear everything that is being said by the person in the counseling booth. The woman is crying and saying that her husband has been drinking and beating her since his release from jail. The counselor's response? You can either break up your family or accept him the way he is. Worst advice ever. Number. That's the best advice ever. Those are her 2 options. And it's a choice. Literally, that is the simplest way to look at it. I don't see how else you can look at it. He's not just gonna magically not drink and stop beating her. You shouldn't even want to have a girlfriend until you are 22 years old. My dad. My mom said 23. Frick em both for making me feel crappy about talking to girls at 17. Never give up on someone you can't go a day without thinking about. That made a bad breakup worse because he held onto it for way too long. The physician who diagnosed me as being diabetic told me to just get more exercise and avoid sweets. I was already physically fit and an avid mountain bike rider. No advice to get a meter or see an endocrinologist, which I later did on my own. The specialist, of course, helped me create a sensible management plan. By the way, of the dozen diabetics I have known in my life, 11 were like me, not obese. Just sane, because people tend to think diabetes is always the fault of the person who has it. I once worked in a nursing home and overheard two black nurses berate this really nice black guy, also a nurse, from Ethiopia about not acting black American black. Imo. It was the man's sincerity and kind ways that made people like him so much. Made me kind of sick that they were trying to basically poison him against others. If you go to a black or Hispanic neighborhood, do not pull out your cell phone, because then they'll know you're rich and kill you. Patton Oswalt's friend's mom. Do not unit test. It's stupid and you don't gain anything. One junior to another junior. Heard over my headphones music. There was a man in Glasgow, Scotland, who had been repeatedly stabbed and was bleeding to death. His family didn't know what to do, but they'd have heard the phrase to rub salt in the wounds, so that's what they did. He died in agony. Any hole is a goal. No, it is not. Just because someone is willing to sleep with me, doesn't mean it's a good idea to do so. Any person who has uttered those words to me has lost at least 800 respect points. From my mom as I was rushing to get ready for a movie date. It doesn't matter what you look like because no one will see you in the dark. Learning about Shakespeare's The Tempest for my English A level, and we get to the mask section. Teacher, I'll give you a brief overview because it's not that important and they never ask about it in the exam. Exam day arrives. Teacher, okay everyone, turn over your paper. Your time starts now. 50 pupils open to a 15 marker on the significance of the mask in the play. I had the opposite happen, so it wasn't really bad, just funny. My AP European history teacher drilled into us during the entire year that the AP exam loves maps, so he made sure we knew lots and lots of maps. Test day comes and there's not a single map. We threw that in his face for the rest of the year. When I was worried I didn't understand all of my student loan paperwork, the financial aid advisor told me I should have a baby so I could qualify for grants and scholarships. Double bag it. Using 2 condoms makes them rub against one another and makes them more likely to break. I had a friend who told me she was being extra safe with her boyfriend by doing this. Fraternity house. I was a pledge. During a party, some guy threw up what looked like gallons of Brunswick stew all over a small bathroom that was downstairs in the fraternity house. Pledge brothers start freaking out because all we had to clean it with was a little bit of bleach. Then out of nowhere, one of my pledge brothers comes up with the idea that we can use this gallon of ammonia he found to clean up the rest of the mess. Literally an instant before he poured it all over the ground. I shouted wait, then I proceeded to explain to him that he almost killed us all Hitler style, us and 300 inebriated college idiots. Last year I had a gay roommate. During the year I was having some girl problems and talking to a friend about it, and she said, "It's because your roommate is gay. You need to spend time with manly guys so you'll be interested in girls again." Everything happens for a reason. Biggest pile of crap ever. People who say that have no idea of the true horrors in this world. Horrifyingly wrong advice. Children cannot grow to be healthy, happy, successful, reasonable people unless they are raised by both a heterosexual father and a heterosexual mother. Not life-changing, but entertaining. I was good friends with an Asian exchange student in high school. We had to do a presentation for class. He wrote some story about dragons, but didn't know the word for dragon. I told him it was Master Dong. So he went to the front of the class and did the presentation in broken English saying Master Dong some 25 times. May sound mean, but we were good friends, and these were the sort of things we did to each other. After my wife and I got a puppy, we were amazed by the sheer volume of unsolicited dog training advice. Lots of people think the key to being a good dog owner is being the dominant alpha, and one woman very aggressively insisted that we get a choke chain for walks. WTF. People, I don't want to hurt my puppy or make him scared of me. If you're having a hard time getting something to fit, just force it in. I have found this advice to be horrible in many situations. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.